Right. Right. Let's do this, guys. So every time I forget what I'm going to say, you'll hear me fake a cough. You know, it's the best escape ever if you get confused. You just fake a cough. I actually wish I'd smoked. I've never touched a cigarette in my life, but the way I cough, I would make a fantastic smoker. Right. Evening, everyone. So we are looking at strategic management and leadership, and a lot of the concepts you would have seen previously. How's it, Cindy? How did the first semester go, Sin? Oh, that's wonderful news. That's wonderful news. So it's a subject that you guys have seen, but there's some new concepts that are added. The first learning unit, you'll see there's a lot of the stuff that you've seen, but we'll spend a bit of time looking at examples, and it is quite a strange place we find ourselves in the world today. I I had changed this picture and then I put the picture back. And when we look at those two individuals, what are some of the questions that spring to mind in terms of each of those? What are some of the questions that spring to mind? What are some of the questions that spring to mind? Does anyone ever go, how the heck is it possible for a country of 330 million people to come up with those two as their best options? Can anyone explain that to me? In a country of 330 million, Bubble and Squeak over there are their best options. Well, Tariq, I think sometimes it's self-enrichment. I think it's a power trip. I don't think anyone else didn't want to do it. I think there were lots of candidates who were willing, but generally, when you look at any of those candidates, you know, you're starting to scrape the barrel, and you're now using the wood chippings as their options. Do you think Biden did that, Robs? Robin, do you think Biden did that? I think Donald is wealthier, is much wealthier now since he's become president. I mean, he has feathered that nest like you can't imagine. He has seriously feathered that nest. Now, I and yeah, Alma said it's a lot about power. It's a lot about control. I think one thing we've learned from leaders in Africa. Yeah, no, absolutely, Robin, 100%. One of the things we've learned from leaders in Africa is that for as long as you're in power, you can control information, you can control processes. I think most of the atrocities committed in Africa were only discovered or are only discovered once the leaders leave that position. And I don't know what Joe hid. I think Joe, um, well, Rowan, it's horse manure. I mean, they set up that cryptocurrency, and everyone who wants to do business with Trump or with America has to buy significant amounts of crypto. He's had a jet donated to him. Um, Well, that's exactly it, Tariq. I mean, he was considered a buffoon in terms of New York businessmen because he had gone bankrupt so many times. Absolutely, absolutely. So when we look at the latest fiasco, I don't even know how to start. So today, Trump announced that he wants, sorry, hold on, that he wants Barack Obama investigated for sedition, for trying to overthrow government. Now, it's very obvious that it is a distraction from the real issue. And when we look at what the distraction is, we know that it's Jeffrey Epstein. And it is, I don't know if Forbes will allow me to show this. It is all, oh, for crying out loud. Hey, I don't know if it's for just this, but I mean, we know that Epstein is a well-known, I can't even show it, it's irritating me, pedophile. I mean, he was involved in child sex trafficking. No questions asked, there's enough evidence of it. But the reality is there is so much evidence, and yet the most powerful man in America, with evidence, will not admit any relationship with this individual. There are pictures together. There are, yeah, he once described him as his best friend. Yeah. Oh, he's everywhere in the Epstein files. I can tell you now. That's why they won't release the files. When they were not in power, they wanted to, yeah, marital spat. When they initially, oh no, we're going to release, we want to see, because all the Democrats are there. The simple truth is Trump's name is the headline in the Epstein files without a single question. There is so much evidence, and yet he still has supporters. Yes, the support base is waning. I mean, he has thrown so many distractions out there. Initially, he was going to deport Rosie O'Donnell. If you guys want to read on that, again, it's the way that magicians operate. Well, that's exactly it. And I'm not going to put anyone on the spot. I'd love to know. Okay, so up front, I hate Trump. I think he is a piece of trash. I mean, the only good thing about Trump is that he proves to the world that you don't have to be poor to be white trash. That's the only thing that he's achieved. Okay, so sorry, that's really rude, but I don't care. So the reality is there'll be Trump supporters on this course. I don't know whether they're attending tonight. So if you want to show me who, if you want, just with a thumbs up, if you're a Trump supporter, and then obviously the fact that you won't pass the course doesn't really matter, but anyone here a Trump supporter? How's that for a threat? I had so many Trump supporters. Yeah, well, the orange knickknack. The orange knickknack. They absolutely worship him. And I think America is such a patriarchal society that the idea of a tough guy, a bully, is everything for him, because he is a bully of absolute note. And we know what happens to bullies when you stand up to them. He cowers, especially to Putin and to the Xi from China. I think it's minus 100%, almost. I love when I bully my students who are against Trump. Plus 25. These are the kinds of things I'll edit all of this out and then I'll leak it to the press. The biggest problem is all of this will end up on my YouTube channel. So if I'm taken out, you guys will know that it was the CIA or the FBI or one of Trump's minions. So when we look what leadership is, and it really is that word that matters to me. It is the ability to influence. And in terms of Trump, his common goal is MAGA, make America great again. I mean, that term has taken on its own meaning. My prediction is that MAGA will end up as a word in a dictionary somewhere. Let me say that again. MAGA will end up as a term in a dictionary somewhere. Or is that a little bit far-fetched? I believe it will be a term in a dictionary very, very soon. Now, I might be confused. We know that languages evolve and that words are added, but I really think that is going to happen. And the common goal there is make America great again. When we look at Kamala Harris, what was her common goal? What was the goal she tried to get people to buy into? Isn't it interesting, guys, that I don't know what that specific overarching vision was? I think her goal was to keep Trump out of the White House for a second term. And that didn't fly because you need something that excites you. You need something that attracts you to a leader. And I don't think she provided it. Do you think America will ever have a female president? Nope. I agree with you, Tariq. Anyone think that it's possible for America to have a female? Yeah, I agree with you. There's zero chance. They're a patriarchal society. I don't believe it will ever be. I mean, one of the I read an article on a court case where somebody at 23 started balding, started going bald, and he then sued the American government because for him to be able to be president one day, he had to have hair because you didn't have any bald presidents. I agree with you, Rowan. Let me ask the question about South Africa then. Do you think we'll ever have a female president? I agree. We're also a patriarchal society. I mean, Lebogang, I was going to nominate Lebogang. That picture is more than enough to go on a campaign poster. Angie, oh dear Lord, help us. I don't think we'll ever have a female president. Lebogang will keep the pick. There's our election poster. We just need a party name. Okay. It can't be make South Africa great again because yeah, that's a bit of a long one. Tandeka, I think we're a patriarchal society. That's the reason. I mean, you might disagree with me. I don't believe we'll ever have a female president. You'll come up with the name LPL. We'll call it the LPL party. LPL will LPL for you. Okay. So guys, in terms of these kinds of definitions, there's been a significant transition in what we consider to be a leader. I think leadership and the concept of leaders and the type of leaders that are in power have significantly evolved over time. In the 1960s, there is no chance that somebody with his background, and remember when he in his first election said, if you are a celebrity, you can just grab women by the, and I'm not going to share that term on here. And yet that was absolutely fine. I saw an interview with one of his organizers saying she'd be happy for him to grab her there because she knows that it's a competent person grabbing her there. And I'm pretty sure all of you know what I'm talking about. We won't use that term on here. So no standards whatsoever. I mean, questionable values. So if we then look at different views of exactly, Tariq, 100%. But if we then look at how we define a leader, those 4 Ps, guys, and you are likely to see this as a question. I love asking this as a question. Remember, I set these exams as well. I also set the assignments. I haven't checked whether the assignment's available. Next time we see each other, we'll spend a bit of time on the assignment. We see leadership in terms of these 4 different approaches. Leadership as a person, and there we talk about our characteristics, our traits, etc., and I'll discuss that. Leadership as a process. The big difference between leadership as a person and leadership as a process, if we believe that leadership is only a person, we believe that leaders are born. If we believe leadership is a process, we believe that we can teach somebody to be a leader. So here, leaders are born. Here, we can take anyone and make them a leader. Comments about that? Are leaders born? Sorry, I did see your comment now about Cyril being away. Yeah, that's true, Rowan. Are leaders born? Or can we make somebody who's not a leader? Yeah, it's a tough one. I think you want that magic combination of innate, 100% Johnson, innate leadership traits, and then also taking those and honing them into what the ideal leader would be. And Robin, I was going to use exactly that term. So well done, Robs, for having that. It's nature and nurture. I think the nature is there, but you have to have the right nurture to be the right kind of leader. My concern now with these leaders and the process and the person combination is how on earth do we still have people like Netanyahu? I mean, he is a war criminal without question. If you watch CNN today, you will be disturbed how they are starving the Palestinians, how they shoot at individuals wanting to go get food. Kids are dying from hunger, and there's unfortunately pictures on CNN about this. Now, I don't want to talk about Israel versus Palestine. It's a little bit, yeah, it's sensitive, but you cannot tell me that what is happening there in Palestine can be accepted globally. And yet Netanyahu stays in power. Yeah, no, there is a warrant out for him. But you know what? There's been a warrant out for Putin as well, who is just another piece of human waste, in my opinion. So guys, if I'm not here next week, it's either the Russians or the Americans that have got me, or the Israelis. Then we'll look at leadership as a position and leadership as results. And that's an interesting one. Right. So I'm not going to go to that. So when we look at leadership as a person, so from a leadership as a person perspective, it is always going to be about characteristics. It's always going to be about traits. Now, in terms of leadership as a person, I always think of this as the ideal example, almost to get a picture of what leadership as a person would look like. Leadership as a person, guys. Robin, you're 100% right. And also remember, the longer the war continues, Tandex. The longer the war continues against Palestine, the longer he stays out of his own legal worries. Because remember, there are significant numbers of charges of corruption against him. And the longer he is involved in this war, the longer it delays his prison sentence, because he will go to prison. So it's a distraction. It is the flashing light. It's the shining little piece of jewelry in the sky that takes the attention away from what the real issue is. This guy wants to stay out of prison. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, he is from Pietermaritzburg, a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful human being. 100% a wonderful human being. Guys, why would I use Prince Charming as the model of leadership as a person? What kind of traits would he have? It's the charisma, the charismatic appearance, the perfect hair. Oh, yeah, absolute Johnson, the perfect hair. I mean, in its most simple terms, leadership as a person means that you are taller, that you are good looking, that you are more intelligent, that you are more articulate than your followers. And based on the time when this leadership theory was developed, that you had to be what? There's one other criterion. You had to be one more thing. White? No, well, it's white, but you had to be a man. Of course, you had to be a man. I mean, that theory was created, you had to be human. Oh, she's almost, I don't know what that means. Because I think humanity has disappeared with leadership. You had to be a dude. Yeah, no, I'll try not to. Um, you had to be a dude, man. You had to be a guy. Otherwise, you couldn't have been a leader. And remember, this goes back to the early 1900s, and it meant you had to be a guy. Um, yeah, we'll talk about Barack Obama as well, Rowan, in a second. So, who knows what movie it's from? Does everyone know that it's Shrek? Who has not seen Shrek? Has anyone here not seen Shrek? Because I'm now encountering kids in my third years. It'll be your homework if you don't go watch Shrek 1. I'm encountering people now in third year level that have never seen Shrek. For me, it's almost required watching. It's part of your childhood. It's part of who you should be. I mean, as important as Toy Story is, so is Shrek. So in terms of the original Tundex, are one of the most phenomenal. I went and watched Shrek right at the beginning. My oldest son is 29. My middle son is 26 now. They were, I'm going to say, about 4 and 6 at the time when we watched it. We laughed so much that people kept looking at us and laughing at us laughing. We had to go back to watch it because we had missed so much because we were laughing so much. So I actually have it on, I don't know if it's on Blu-ray, but I definitely have it on disc somewhere. And it is just, it's astonishing. So guys, in terms of leadership as a person, so this is based on characteristics. It suggests that you have a specific drive. And the kind of words that go hand in hand with the term drive are those there. Now, a lot of people have a drive. Oh, wonderful Tandeka. Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Tandex. When you think of this kind of drive, you would hope that it's the right motivation that drives you, because leaders have this kind of innate need to be successful, to leave an impression on the world, to make a difference in the world. The tenacity one is important because I think sometimes when things get tough, leaders become tenacious. They fight through it. They overcome obstacles that other people will give up at. So the first one, drive. The second one, leadership motivation. And here there is this need to be large and in charge. Leaders want to be leaders. People who are put in position who don't want to be a leader generally will struggle in that position. And remember, guys, it's not just from a positional perspective. I must always be so careful because I get recorded here. But I work with a lot of people at Varsity College whose entire career ambition, sorry, hold on a second. Oh, sorry, I should mute that. Is to climb a career ladder thing, climb, 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 climb. And I think some people want to be known as being in charge, as being the leader. The second one is that in order to achieve the goals they want to achieve, they need to assume a leadership role. And I think when we think of someone like Rassie Erasmus always wanted to ensure that the Springboks were successful, but he could do a lot more as the coach than he could as the sort of director rugby, etc., although he is never ever so far away from the coaching. And I think it really is that, yeah, and I sometimes question this, that you want to be in charge to achieve goals, not because it is some kind of, I want to be seen as the leader. I question this one a bit, guys, because there are definitely some people for who being a leader is more important than anything else, including the goals that you want to achieve. That large and in charge, where that is, in fact, the goal. Guys, and then honesty, integrity. So here we start questioning these definitions. I think trusting leaders is one of the essential characteristics from a follower perspective. However, honesty, integrity, guys, how would we rate Trump out of 10 on honesty and integrity? It is a 0. It is absolutely 0. This is an individual that will lie on camera, will then claim that he had never said it, and then when it's proven that he had said it, will say fake news. It's just, and the term fake bloody news as well. So a lot of people are saying, well, exactly what is happening in America now is what he had promised during the election. No one knows what he meant, cutting back massive departments, laying people off. My favorite moment, and I don't know if I shared this when we did the Remy workshop at the beginning of the year for the third year research. So those of you that did your undergrad at Varsity College will remember you had that I can't REPR, and that one it's got a new title now, but it's the third year research project. At the beginning of the year, one of my students selected this topic, and she's got from a farming background, so it's a real passion project. And essentially, in her topic was on the economic effect of forced immigration on the American agricultural industry. Blow me away. A month ago, Trump instructed the ICE agents to not go to farms to get rid of illegal immigrants there, because there we need them because they've got to harvest the crops. Rather go into towns, etc., and get rid of those illegals. So now there's the degree of being illegal. If you're a farm laborer, then you're okay. But and her prediction of what had happened is 100% spot on. It's so cool when you see students able to do that. Okay, guys, self-confidence. Yeah, no, Trump overflows with self-confidence, or does he? Why does he not appear on camera without his Agent Orange attached to his face? If you're confident, you would be comfortable in your own skin. He's confident when he's got his makeup on, or is that just part of who he? Yeah, I agree with you. I think he is so arrogant when he meets with world leaders and they do photos. Remember, in his first term, he was pushing people aside to be at the front and center of a photo of world leaders. Disdainful individual. Yeah, so you can see in terms of self-confidence, knows what he wants, is decisive, and we've got to give him that. I mean, he sticks to his decisions until he realizes that it won't work, and then he blames the Democrats. And then emotional stability. Is he emotionally stable, guys? Is he emotionally stable? He has the keys to the nuclear. He has his finger on the nukes, guys, to use a crude term. I think he loses it. I absolutely think he loses it. Guys, and then oh dear Lord help us. Cognitive ability. So this guy can look at a situation, can analyze, can come up with proper solutions. You don't have to be a genius, but he can. Well, why are we not there yet? Banks, that's scary. But I think in the background, him and Putin have this mutual love for each other, because they're both strong guys. In public, they'll say nonsense, but in private, they sent each other little hearts and miss you and those kinds of things. Guys, and then just also clear knowledge of the business. Do you think he understands the economy well enough to rescue the American economy? Yeah, I agree with that. I think he struggles with that kind of thing. So if we look at those characteristics and we look at it from a positive perspective, other than Imtiaz, I can't remember his surname now. What other leaders, give me examples of leaders in South Africa that, from a positive perspective, would address each of those. Leaders in South Africa that address those. Sorry, Imtiaz Suleiman, I had to go up and look for the name. We look at political leaders, people who for some reason get voted in over and over and over and over again. From a positive perspective, who ticks each of those boxes? And I don't care which party you support, guys. I really am agnostic. Jay-Z. Yeah, no, absolutely. Jay-Z, the architect of the architect of state capture. Yeah, Johnson, that is a scary, scary thought. I mean, that oak is a criminal, man. I mean, he should be in prison. He's too ill to be in prison. Nelson is one of the few guys, Nelson Mandela. Having said that, when we discuss this with my third years, well, it's a needle in a haystack. I mean, it's looking for a landmine while stamping on the ground. Because no matter what you do, your chances of finding someone is very little. And when you find someone, it's going to blow up in your face. Please don't go look for landmines by stamping on the ground. That's the opposite of what you should be doing. Sorry about that. That is scary, guys. We're a group of intelligent people sitting together, and we cannot, amongst us, come up with a single South African political leader who addresses those different elements. Thabo Mbeki, sorry, guys. Thabo Mbeki, I think, comes pretty close to that. Thabo Mbeki was a moment in time leader. I always think of those initial leaders, and then obviously now Ramaphosa. Someone like Mandela was the right person at the right time. He was our Moses. If you don't know the Bible, I apologize. He was our Moses. He is the guy that led us to the promised land. The promised land was the post-apartheid South Africa. Once we had gone there and South Africa all of a sudden became the rainbow nation and people wanted to do business with us, we needed an economist. And Mbeki was our economist. Mbeki was the guy that capitalized on our newfound popularity. So he was also the right person at the right time. He was an impressive person. I have two issues against him. His stance on AIDS. Remember, he kept saying that HIV doesn't cause AIDS, poverty does. And from a philosophical perspective, yes. But when you deal with unsophisticated people, well, he put AIDS research and the use of ARVs back by multiple years. So he didn't restrict ARVs. He interrupted people using ARVs. But the fact that he, from a philosophical perspective, tried to connect poverty with AIDS, I think a lot of people thought, well, I'm not poor, so why would I get it? And that is very dangerous. And then remember, when Mugabe lost the election, he made sure that Mugabe stayed in power. Yeah, no, Bianx, I'm so sorry, but it is. I mean, we're talking about 2000 to 2004. So, I mean, you might know, I would imagine you were born by then, but you would have been very, very young. Can I just see, is anyone here born after 2000? Was anyone in this class born after 2000? Holy, 2002, Shelby 2001. Oh my gosh, I'm too old for this class, guys. Oh no, go away. 2003, 2000. Oh my God. You're fetuses. You're not babies. Cleone. Call me great uncle then. Guys, I think you need to demand a younger lecturer, somebody who talks your language. Oh my goodness me, guys, if you feel old, Almas and Rowan, I'm still, I was born a long time before then, and I still haven't mastered the spoon yet. So don't worry, it'll happen much later in life. Oh my goodness me. Okay, so and then after that it became Zuma. And when we talk about people being moment in time and being the right person for the job, Zuma was the populist. And for me, that's when things started going wrong very rapidly. And as we say, the architect of state capture. I I am in KwaZulu-Natal. That man is very popular among the local population. Very popular. If you look at what happened with the MK party and the fact that they took 40% of the votes, run by a criminal, he is still very, very popular in KZN. Is anyone on this call Zulu? Do we have any Zulu people on the call? I'm looking for surnames. Gololo is not. Jikaza is not. Kanyile, yep, 50%. I'm not going to ask which 50%. Tantex. Tell me what you think of Nomusa. Tell me what you think of Jacob Zuma. 100%. Nomusa, do you want to unmute yourself and tell me what Zulu people think and believe of Zuma? Unmute yourself, Nomus. No, I'm not going to take away marks. I say the worst things in the world, and you guys won't even share a single comment. Is it? Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll be quiet. I'm not Zulu at all, guys, as you might guess. Not even a single percentage. But yeah, I love 50%. Anyone else? Okay, I'm moving on. Unfortunately, I am, ek is Afrikaans and Afrikaners and Zulus have so much in common. You cannot believe how close the value systems and things are between Afrikaans and Zulu people. Yeah, well, I'm so Zulu. I was asked to negotiate someone's lobola, so that must count as some contribution to my being Zulu. Okay, to go back to my point, if we look at this from a positive perspective, were you offered Lobola, Bianx? Oh my gosh, should have called me. I could have negotiated a better deal for you. Very difficult to find somebody who meets this from a perfect perspective. Yo, no, Bianx, 50 cows is a lot. I mean, you're like a princess. You were offered from a co-worker. Oh my gosh. The Lobola people, 50 cows means you're a princess, isn't it? Isn't 50 cows a lot? Lebogang, Sepati, you were offered from a car. Stop driving your Lamborghini around town. Robin, from a co-worker. How many cows did he offer you? Oh my goodness me. Obviously with golden rims, Bianx, with golden rims. Oh my word. Yeah, no, he's pushing his luck there. Obviously thought he could actually get a foothold in the business, Robin. Okay. Guys, in terms of leadership as a process, this is the one where we say you can actually teach somebody to be a leader. And I have to believe it. Otherwise, I wouldn't run courses on leadership. We wouldn't have an entire module. And remember, I put together this module on leadership because if I didn't believe it, I wouldn't do this as a module. So there has to be a belief that we can impart best practices to people to a point that they can start modeling those best practices, that they can start modeling those best practices. So the interesting aside in terms of this, there are so many leadership courses, there are so many leadership theories. It is to find that one that works as a best practice. Because the way we need to think of leadership as a process is that we model best practice scenarios. We model the best practices in theories. In terms of leadership processes, leaders act differently to others because you've got the planning and the organizing and all of that. But also, I think leaders, in terms of giving instructions, in terms of interacting, in terms of motivating and communicating and creating an environment where people can be fantastic, definitely act different to followers. And I'll come back to that point. The second one is you can only be a leader in an organization if you fall within the actual general rules of what is expected from a leader in that organization. So every organization has an organizational culture. That culture summarizes into the term, that's the way we do business around here. In terms of that kind of leadership culture, the argument here is to be a leader, you need to fit that organizational culture. And then lastly, leadership depends on context. There are people who take on a leadership role because of crises in particular. There are people who avoid leadership roles who have been thrust into leadership positions, in particular when we have a context that is characterized by crisis. And the truth is, a lot of leaders emerge because of situations, because of realities. The one thing that I have to say is leadership is a process and how it's different to as a position, which we'll chat about next week, is that anyone can be a leader irrespective of your level in the organization. I think to think of leaders as being somebody who has a title, who is in charge. Leadership can be practiced by everyone. You don't have to have the title to be a leader. I don't know if that makes any sense. Okay, guys, we'll leave it there. I'll see you in about half an hour. You guys are happy with this approach? Please let me know if you want to change anything. I'd like the idea of us chatting and interacting and finding out that you drive Suzuki Espressos. I love that part of the class. Any questions, any comments at this stage, guys? I definitely will be better next week. I'll stop coughing hopefully by Saturday. Thank you for attending. I'll see you in half an hour. Please take care, everyone. Cheers, cheers, guys. And if I don't see you, I'll see you.